Hello to all Cinemaster lovers. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. The movie begins with a kingdom under the sea where the king of fish, wearing a magical ring, communicates with his spy, the Frog King. The Fish King asks about the whereabouts of the fish he wants to marry, but the frog admits he doesn't know where she is, which angers the king. The king orders the frog to search rivers, streams, and ponds until he finds her. The scene then shifts to a Russian village where we see a blind blacksmith and his son Amelia, who wakes up to the sound of his dog. Amelia is kind-hearted but a bit naive. When he leaves the house, his blind father insists that he must learn the blacksmith trade, and Amelia agrees. His father then asks him to catch something for them to eat, so Amelia takes a bucket and a fishing rod and heads to a river covered with ice. When Amelia arrives at the river, he cuts a hole in the ice and drops the fishing line. Suddenly, bubbles start forming in the water and Amelia is surprised. Out of nowhere, a jet of water pushes a fish directly into his bucket. Amelia is happy with how easily he caught it and heads home, thinking about the meal he will prepare. But then, the fish surprises him by speaking and asking him not to cook her. Amelia is shocked that the fish can talk, and he listens as she offers him 3 wishes if he returns her to the river. Overjoyed, Amelia thinks about the wishes, and without realizing it, he expresses a desire to see the whole city without leaving his house. Suddenly, a miracle happens. His house begins to rise into the sky. The fish informs him that his first wish has been granted. Amelia is astonished and excited by the possibilities before him. Even though Amelia wished without thinking, the fish explains that he did indeed make a wish. His workshop is transformed as if it were part of a moving vehicle, taking him outside the house. The fish explains that Amelia wanted to explore the city without leaving his workshop, so the workshop accompanies him on his journey. Despite not believing it at first, Amelia enjoys the warmth and greenery as the winter cold disappears, turning the scene into a spring garden. The fish tells him that 2 of his wishes have been fulfilled, leaving him with 1 more. Amelia, holding the fish in the bucket, reflects on how he wasted his wishes on trivial things and regrets not asking for something greater. The fish responds that everyone wishes according to their view of the world. As they continue their journey, some thieves stop Amelia, intending to rob him. When they find no money, they try to take the fish. Amelia seizes a moment of distraction to escape with the bucket. The thieves chase him, but with no way out, Amelia decides to release the fish into the river, asking her to stay there for safety. The thieves, frustrated, tie Amelia to a tree and leave. After a while, a beautiful girl arrived and helped Amelia free himself. When Amelia noticed a scarf with a fish pattern on her shoulder, he realized that she was the fish he had released into the lake, now transformed into a human to save him. She introduced herself as Vasilisa. To ensure she wouldn't escape, Amelia took the scarf and told her that he still had 1 wish left, which he would use at the right time. Curious, Vasilisa asked about his plans, and Amelia revealed that his goal was to marry the daughter of the Russian Tsar. Vasilisa asked if that would be his 3rd wish, but he assured her that he would try to achieve it on his own and requested her help. She agreed to cooperate with him. The scene shifts to the Tsar's palace, where a servant informs Princess Anfisa that the English ambassador is on his way. This news thrilled her, as she had long dreamed of marrying an Englishman. She quickly prepared herself, but Tsar Yar harbored a deep dislike for the English and didn't want his daughter to marry one of them. At that moment, the English ambassador arrived, intending to win the Tsar's approval and ask for his daughter's hand in marriage. He presented Princess Anfisa with an umbrella, which delighted her. However, Tsar Yar was unimpressed and scolded the ambassador, claiming the English only came to plunder. The ambassador tried to change his mind by offering him a gift to alter his opinion of the English. At the same time, Amelia and Vasilisa arrived at the kingdom. The ambassador showcased a strange device that produced music on its own, hiding the fact that there was a man inside operating the machine by pressing a button. No one knew about this trick. As the music played, Amelia and Vasilisa observed from behind the palace walls. Despite the performance, the Tsar remained unimpressed and said they didn't need such a device. However, Anfisa had fallen completely in love with the English ambassador and wanted to marry him. In a romantic moment, the ambassador kissed Anfisa's hand, leaving the Tsar confused about how to convince his daughter otherwise. At that moment, Amelia burst into the scene and suggested to the king that there was no need to marry the princess to the Englishman because he could bring a machine that played music on its own. The king was thrilled when he heard this, since he was looking for any excuse to stop his daughter's marriage to the Englishman. The king told Amelia that if he brought this machine, he could ask for whatever he wanted. Amelia asked if he could marry the princess, and the king agreed. The princess, however, was upset when she heard this because she wanted to marry the ambassador and didn't like Amelia. She tried to scare him off, but Amelia stood firm. The king ordered that Amelia be given new clothes and shoes for the journey since he was poor, and the king wanted to prepare him properly for the task. Amelia, who was wearing old socks, was thrilled by the offer. When Amelia left, he shared the news with Vasilisa, who warned him that although the musical machine existed, it was very difficult to obtain. When Amelia asked why, she explained that the machine was in the possession of a creature in the dark forest, and all who had tried to retrieve it never returned alive. Vasilisa revealed that the machine had strange powers. If it played a joyful tune, people would dance non-stop until they collapsed from exhaustion and were eaten by the creature. If it played a sad tune, people would cry until they fell asleep, only to be devoured afterward. Amelia understood the danger but decided to take the risk. He and Vasilisa packed food for the journey and began their quest. After navigating difficult paths, they finally neared their goal. Upon reaching the forest's edge, Vasilisa told Amelia he had to continue alone. As Amelia ventured deeper into the thick forest, he found himself surrounded by skeletons, the remains of those who had attempted the task before him. Suddenly, Amelia heard the creature's voice asking if he was looking for the musical machine. Amelia confirmed his intent, and the creature proposed a challenge. If Amelia could resist the music without losing control, he would hand over the machine. The creature then asked if Amelia preferred a sad tune or a joyful one. Amelia chose the sad tune, and to the creature's surprise, the song had no effect on Amelia, who even began singing along to the next lines. Astonished, the creature asked how Amelia knew the song and why it didn't affect him. Amelia explained that his mother used to sing that song to him every day when he was little, so it had no power over him. Defeated, the creature admitted that it would starve if it handed over the machine. Amelia offered food from his bag, which delighted the creature. The creature thanked Amelia, but still refused to give him the machine. Instead, it decided to accompany Amelia and told him to consider him as a friend. On the other side, near the river, Vasilisa was waiting for Amelia, sitting quietly. Suddenly, the frog, the king's messenger, arrived and handed her a letter. The king had been searching for her everywhere and wanted to marry her immediately. Vasilisa firmly replied, telling the frog to inform the king that she would never marry him. At that moment, Amelia arrived with his room and the musical machine, overhearing the conversation between Vasilisa and the frog. Vasilisa asked Amelia if he had finally retrieved the musical machine, and Amelia nodded. After a short while, they decided to return. On their way back, Amelia told Vasilisa that he understood her refusal to marry the king since he had fled from there. Vasilisa confirmed this and said she didn't love the king. The events shift to the king's palace, where the English ambassador, now disguised as the Italian ambassador, was trying once again to convince the king to allow him to marry the princess. She recognized him and was overjoyed, but before he could propose, Amelia arrived with the musical machine. The cat started playing cheerful tunes, causing everyone in the royal court to dance uncontrollably until they were exhausted from the magical music. Finally, at Amelia's request, the cat stopped the music. The king, amazed, congratulated Amelia on the wonderful machine and decided that the cat and the machine must stay in the palace. Amelia, remembering their deal, asked the king to fulfill his promise to marry him to his daughter, Anfisa. The king agreed, but Anfisa, being clever and arrogant, only wanted to marry the English ambassador. To avoid marrying Amelia, she suggested a task she deemed impossible, hoping it would rid her of him forever. Naively, Amelia accepted the challenge and promised to complete any task she gave him. Anfisa said she would reveal the task the next day. Later, Amelia met with Vasilisa, who, upon seeing his joy, asked if he was sure the princess would agree to marry him. Amelia replied that he wasn't sure, but Anfisa had proposed the challenge before agreeing to the marriage. She promised to marry him if he succeeded in completing the final task. That night, Princess Anfisa went to the storeroom to summon the spirit of her evil mother. When the spirit appeared, it asked why she had been summoned at that time. Anfisa admitted that she wanted to give Amelia an extremely difficult task, one he wouldn't be able to complete, so they could get rid of him for good. Her mother suggested a very tough challenge. In the next day, according to the plan, the princess asked the ambassador to present an amazing device to the king. This device could automatically cut vegetables and produce juice from fruits. What no one knew was that the same person was hiding inside the machine, doing all the work. The ambassador asked the king if he had anything similar in his kingdom. Before the king could respond, Anfisa entered and asked if Amelia could bring something that would prepare food by itself and then clean up afterward. The king said he had heard of a magical tablecloth that could do that, even though he had never seen it. Cleverly, Anfisa suggested that if Amelia could bring the magical tablecloth, she would marry him under those conditions. Amelia set off with Vasilisa to search for the legendary magical tablecloth. During their journey, Vasilisa explained that the tablecloth was with two brothers, John and Ron, who had left the city years ago to live in a mountainous area. These brothers had become lazy over time due to the ease provided by the tablecloth, which brought them food without any effort. As they continued their journey, Amelia and Vasilisa stopped at the home of an elderly couple who, despite their poverty, loved each other deeply. Vasilisa commented that the love between two people should be like a needle and thread. One is not complete without the other. They passed beautiful green fields until they reached the mountainous area, where they found the brothers, who were clearly overweight due to their lack of activity, sitting among the high rocks with the magical tablecloth that was providing them food. The brothers were bored with the food and were about to relax when Emilia approached and asked them for the magical tablecloth. This annoyed them greatly, and in a moment of anger, they threw a coconut at his head, knocking him unconscious. Vasilisa rushed to help him and suggested to the brothers that they look at their reflection in the water. When they saw their transformed appearances, resembling animals due to years of accumulated laziness, they felt deep sadness and asked Vasilisa to find them a solution. She advised them to get rid of the magical tablecloth to eliminate their laziness and start working to provide food for themselves. The brothers agreed and handed the tablecloth over to Vasilisa, who took it and left with Amelia, who had regained consciousness. On their way back, Amelia was filled with joy for finding the tablecloth and began picking flowers from the garden to give to the princess. Vasilisa revealed to him that Anfisa didn't truly want to marry him and had only given him this task to get rid of him. Amelia, in his innocent goodness, refused to believe her and explained how he intended to ask for the princess's hand in marriage. Amelia's kindness made Vasilisa fall in love with him, although she decided not to reveal her feelings at that time. Back at the palace, the princess and the ambassador were celebrating, thinking Amelia would never return. However, Amelia returned victorious, greeted with enthusiasm by all the kingdom's inhabitants who saw him as a hero. The king was amazed and told his daughter to see how much the people admired and appreciated him. But Anfisa was furious because she never intended to marry Amelia. She returned to the storeroom to summon her evil mother's spirit again and look for a new plan to escape marrying Amelia. The evil mother told her about a dangerous new plan. The next day, in front of everyone in the royal court, Anfisa told the king that she was willing to marry but only with her mother's blessing. Therefore, Amelia must venture into the dark world to get her mother's approval for the marriage. When the king heard this, he understood that his daughter was placing impossible obstacles in front of Amelia to avoid the marriage, since going to the dark world and returning alive was an impossible feat. Both the king and Amelia felt disheartened by the difficult task, but Amelia accepted the challenge. Later, he went to Vasilisa, who warned him that entering that place was like stepping into the jaws of death, as it was a different world. Amelia asked how he could get there and decided to go alone, but Vasilisa explained that he would need to pass through a dark forest and a black river full of dangers and mist. In the next day, Amelia set off with Vasilisa to the other world, but before leaving, he visited his blind father, unsure if he would return. When his father heard Vasilisa's voice, who was a blacksmith working despite his blindness, he expressed his sorrow for not hearing his son's voice in days and how he couldn't search for him. Vasilisa and Amelia were saddened by his condition. Amelia regretted leaving his father in such circumstances and asked for his forgiveness, requesting permission for the journey. Amelia then told Vasilisa that although he had ruined two of his wishes, he wanted the third wish to be the healing of his father's eyes. Vasilisa fulfilled this wish, and his father's eyes were healed, restoring his sight while he was working at the forge. When they reached the river, Amelia thought about how Vasilisa had helped him achieve 3 wishes, but he didn't want to cause her more problems. He decided to continue the journey alone, then handed her back her sea scarf and set her free. However, Vasilisa responded that he still didn't understand that their relationship was like an unbreakable thread connected to a needle, and she wouldn't leave him alone in difficult times. She urged him to realize that when he succeeded, they would be together. Eventually, Vasilisa decided to accompany him, even though Amelia still didn't fully grasp the love she felt for him. Without her expressing her feelings clearly, Vasilisa boarded the boat with him, and they continued together down the river. When they entered, they saw statues of death messengers everywhere. She pointed out the dark area, and they stopped the boat, disembarking in a valley. Amelia commented on the strangeness of the place when a guard of the world approached and asked them, astonished, how they had arrived there. Vasilisa replied that she came with Amelia, and the guard was shocked. He revealed that Vasilisa was his daughter and explained that her eldest would turn into a fish to learn and experience the world. Vasilisa clarified that they had come to search for the queen's spirit. The guard told them that the queen was a cruel and despicable woman who married the king to gain power and tortured the poor. Because of this, her spirit was being punished in this world, condemned to eternal hunger. The guard then revealed the queen's spirit before Vasilisa and Amelia. Initially, Vasilisa refused to agree to the marriage when she saw the queen's condition. Amelia stepped in and offered the queen food, explaining that her suffering would not end unless she agreed to marry. Under pressure, the queen finally said yes. After that, we moved to the king's palace, where Anfisa and the ambassador are enjoying a feast while the king watches sadly. Suddenly, the spirit of the queen appeared on a tray and announced her consent to the marriage in front of everyone, filling the king with joy. Despite this, Anfisa was shocked to see that Amelia had managed to complete the difficult task in the dark world. Vasilisa thanked her father and returned to the boat with Amelia, preparing to go back. On the way, she told Amelia to continue the hardest task alone, insisting that he no longer needed her and asking him to forget her. She sadly admitted that he would end up marrying the princess anyway. However, Amelia responded, telling her he could never forget her and didn't want to do that. Vasilisa, feeling down and resigned, reminded him that those who return from that place tend to lose their memories. Meanwhile, Anfisa, filled with rage, entered the storage room and broke the chair she had used to summon her mother's evil spirit. Her mother revealed that she had to allow Amelia some freedom under pressure, but confessed she had a secret that could solve all of Anfisa's problems. When Anfisa asked about the secret, her mother explained that Amelia wasn't doing everything alone in his adventures. A magical fish was helping him with everything, and that in their kingdom, using magic was punishable by death. At that moment, Amelia and Vasilisa continued their journey down the river. When dawn broke, Amelia woke up to find the boat on the shore, and all his memories of Vasilisa had vanished. When he asked her, "Who are you?" Vasilisa simply replied that she's just the one steering the boat. Amelia stepped off the boat, feeling like he had forgotten something important. When he reached Anfisa, he told her that even though he had completed all his tasks, he had fallen in love with someone else but couldn't remember who. Anfisa, with her cunning, asked him if he had completed his tasks alone, and Amelia admitted he had always relied on magical help, even though he couldn't remember who it was. Upon hearing about the magic, Anfisa ordered the soldiers to arrest him immediately, as using magic in their kingdom was punishable by death. Amelia was shocked. He couldn't believe that the person who had risked his life for her would betray him like this. In the next day, as they were blindfolding Amelia to execute him, Vasilisa suddenly arrived and offered her freedom in exchange for Amelia's. She handed Anfisa her fish scale cloak, a symbol of her magic. Anfisa, moved, accepted the deal, and cancelled Amelia's execution. However, after saving him, the power and magic began to take more control over Anfisa, who decided to imprison her father to declare herself queen. After this, she confessed to Vasilisa that her first wish had come true, and now she wished for the Prince of England to propose to her. Thanks to Vasilisa's magic, the English soldiers arrived with a marriage proposal from the prince, which made the English ambassador, who had once been Anfisa's lover, feel betrayed. Without hesitation, he was demoted to a cleaning worker in the palace. On the other hand, Amelia was wandering through the places he had visited with Vasilisa, unable to remember anything clearly. During a nighttime visit to his father, he encountered John and Ron, who were exhausted from their physical efforts. His father reminded him that the last time he was there, he was with a girl named Vasilisa. When he saw the thread and needle in John's hand, all his memories of Vasilisa came rushing back. Determined to reclaim his love, Amelia decided to return to the palace, fight, and do whatever it took to free Vasilisa. With the help of his father and the brothers, they broke down the palace doors. When Amelia confronted Anfisa, he demanded Vasilisa's release, threatening to do whatever it took against the soldiers if she did not comply. Anfisa always calculated her moves and suggested to Vasilisa that her third wish be to turn her into a witch like her. Vasilisa granted the wish, but with an unexpected twist. Anfisa transformed into a fish. When Anfisa tried to reverse the transformation, she discovered she couldn't use magic for her personal gain. This meant that Vasilisa could perform magic for others, but not for herself. At that moment, the water from the nearby well began to bubble, and the Fish King appeared, mixing Anfisa and Vasilisa's forms. He was thrilled to find the fish, who he loved and wanted to marry, and took Anfisa underwater to wed her. After they freed themselves from Anfisa, everyone celebrated. Vasilisa was liberated, Amelia's father was freed, and Amelia and Vasilisa finally declared their love for each other, deciding to live together forever. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button to get more new videos. See ya!